Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday, Success Thursday, here on the podcast. This week, we have with us Johannes Lindman. Hey, Johannes, welcome back.
Thank you. Hello.
So today's Success Day here on the podcast, but before we dive into that very important question, I would like to ask you, what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
Maybe a bit traditional. I like the learning matrix, where you have what made me happy, what made me angry, what ideas do I have to change, and the important part, the Kudos part. And the Kudos part, if you've seen this cross 4x4 matrix, is the key of success in that retrospective format. Because I think if you are starting to think kind thoughts about people and who would I like to thank, I think that opens up so much more creativity. It makes it so much easier then to fill out the new ideas, because you're starting from a good point in the session when you started with thinking about Kudos. That's why I like the learning matrix setup most of what I do. Then I, of course, alternate. There are lots of fun retrospective formats, theme formats like Star Wars or whatever, but that's my favorite I chose today.
Can you pinpoint a point in your career where you acknowledged or realized that actually these kind thoughts, as you called it, can drive a lot of good things in the team?
Absolutely. I've seen it many times when we do retrospectives, and I see that at the retrospectives, they are starting to zoom in on super simple things to talk about, like we should have more test cases, we should do more documentation. It's like kind of useless actions that's coming out. It's not a double loop learning. It's just feedback on what we should have done right or wrong. It's not improving the process. And when I find that symptom that they are struggling with, what should be, how creative can you be? I try to switch to some type of format where we bring up the Kudos moment. You can do that separate, of course, as a check-in, because that boosts and creates another openness and another creativity in the group. So I try to find when we need it. Sometimes the group is happy and they trust each other. We don't need to do it every week. Though feedback is always good, but it can be a real good booster sometimes when people are just thinking this is Monday, we're doing a retro again, and then inject some, who are we thankful to? Maybe it's someone outside the group. Maybe we should talk to them next time, and then you get the idea we should have a retro with them, or we should connect with the support people. It gives you so many new ideas when you think about who are we thankful for today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a brilliant way to put it. I really like that perspective. In my own opinion and experience, the Kudos as a starting point in a retrospective totally changes the energy in the room. It makes people much more open, more willing to share. So it's really, it's almost like a secret superpower to boost the effectiveness of retrospectives.
I agree.
So, of course, we do this retros because we want to succeed as Scrum Masters. And that's the question next, Johannes. So share with us, how do you define success for yourself as a Scrum Master?
I'm a contractor. That's a part of it. But when I can leave the team and feel confident that they will continue in some trajectory that is good for them. The best ever was like when the team said, we want to try to alternate Scrum Master role in the team. We don't need you. Please step out and we call you when we need help. Okay, I trust you. And I was kind of happy when they called me once a while, but they got it. And then I realized, then I done my job, because I see it, I invest a lot on teaching or mentoring in the beginning, so we really understand why we're doing these ceremonies, those practices, and what to look for in focus. And when I see that they can manage that themselves, it's so much better, because then I can switch my attention to the other parts of the organization and of course boosting the product owner if you don't consider them as a part of the team, but then the managers, maybe the platform crew, and start me working all the way out in the organization when I feel that the team, they are truly autonomous, and I can trust that if they are in trouble, they will ask me for advice, and also that they feel that they are not ashamed to ask me for advice, because they know that it's okay to ask some things, because otherwise they say, no, we said we didn't want you, and they never call and try to solve it by themselves. But we built that relationship that we can have a mutual trust. They are grown up. They're always grown up, but I can leave them, and it's easy to connect again and do these easy things, not be there every day. Then I've succeeded.
So you've described very clearly the kind of the end goal, right? Like the outcome.
Yeah.
But how do you measure yourself if we are still on that path? Like, is the team really moving towards that? Am I providing the aspects that they need in order to move towards that? How do you keep yourself attentive and even deliberately thinking about this aspect of your work as a Scrum Master?
Kind of boring, maybe, but I like metrics. I always keep check on how is the flow. Is it flowing? Flow first, and is the team happy? And by measurement, happiness index, whatever, or just one-on-ones and gut feeling to understand that, okay, this is a healthy team. And so we show, it becomes for me like a competition within. Can I see that if you do a team health check exercise, big workshop to figure out how's the delivery going, how's the support, how we're feeling, and if we score high on that, actually I feel a bit proud. Though the intention of that is, of course, to identify for the team and the team of teams to see what patterns do we have in the organization and to help them. So it's totally okay to flag red on something, or you should flag red, because then you get more attention and more help. But I still feel sometimes that if they score high on those types of self-assessments or other types of metrics, that's my ego getting boosted again. Because I want flow, I want delivery, I want happy people that don't leave the company. They want to, they sign on for a new contract if they're contractors, and they stay on as developers and don't take other assignments or something like that.
So you've mentioned flow as one of the metrics, and I guess you mean cycle time?
Yes, if you boil it down, you come to cycle lead times. Lead times is always the key metrics, but you can also see other types of flow metrics, either visually or figuring out how many dependencies do we have, have we removed dependencies, have we, the types of metrics.
And what I wanted to ask is, of course, metrics are in general good, meaning that if they help you make decisions, they are good metrics, because metrics that don't help make decisions are actually worse than bad, because they are driving you in all kinds of random directions. And I understand that flow metrics can be like decision input, right? So it helps us think about where to focus and maybe what aspects to bring to the team. Maybe they're not aware of certain aspects that impact flow. But what are the metrics that when you go into the team, you say, okay, first, before I even understand the team, I need to understand a little bit more about these metrics? Is it lead time and cycle time, or are there specific metrics that you always bring with you and you use in order to help you understand what you need to do?
I would say the first obvious thing is lead times, because it's so easy to just open up Jira and see how many days have this been in backlog. That's the first indication that we have a problem here, or either if it's backlog management, talk to product owner, maybe we should nuke the backlog sometimes, or what is this crap, or is it that it's actually stuck? Why are we blocked? Because these are indicators of bad smells or bad health if they are not moving. It's not the goal to have a low lead time, but it's a strong indicator of what issues we could possibly have.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps us then figure out, okay, so where do we investigate, and what kind of questions we can ask, and how can we help the team also get more even self-awareness, right? Like what is going on? Because it's not even clear that the team would look at stuff that is in the backlog since they are not working on it.
Yeah. And other metrics, if you're really going down that path, sometimes size on things, and I don't really see that we need to align our variability that every thing should be this equal size. We can do pure Kanban, but if the sizes are hugely different, this is one giant story that would probably take several sprints to do, and then we have like 25 small 1 hour fixes. Then there is also something wrong, because you haven't worked with how to either aggregate things. We should have a bug fixing day or bug fixing tasks, and slicing down the big things, because there should be some reasonable sizes of what we're working with within a sprint. Otherwise, the Scrum concept is a bit strange with time boxing, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think you make a very important point, is that sometimes people look at metrics as a way to evaluate performance. And what you just described, for example, with the size comment, is that metrics can be like thermostats, right? Yeah. Like it helps you identify the temperature in a room, but it doesn't tell you where the problem is coming from. That's still on you. You still need to do the research of why is that happening and what might be the smells or anti-patterns behind it.
Yeah. So indicators, not bonus-related achievements.
Indeed. That's a very, very good addition. Thank you for sharing that, Johannes.
Okay. Thank you.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.